Yeah, this was breaking news. I mean, just moments after I did my review on the ultra violence of Nick Gage, the Dark Side of the Ring, episode 2, I should say, of season 3, aired last night. Just got the news, and Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com is talking about this right now on Twitter and YouTube. New Jack, who they did a Dark Side of the Ring episode on last season, and they talked to, about what he did, in that episode, just like they did Nick Gage here. New Jack passed away. Yeah. His wife basically broke the news that he had passed away at the age of 58. I'm assuming, not making any, any. I'm not going to come out here and say that I know what happened. But we could assume that it was probably all the drugs that he has done throughout the years that finally caught up with him. All the dives that he took, all the risk that he put his body, all the risk and everything he put his body through throughout the years. Wow. It's like, that's the last thing you can that's the last thing you can even imagine. And for those of you that don't know who New Jack is, this is a guy that got his start in Smoky Mountain Wrestling along with Mustafa Saeed as part of the Gangsters. And you want to talk about a very controversial group in professional wrestling, especially in the Southern Territories, where they still, at that time, believed it was real, that wrestling was real, that the people in the ring were good guys, the good people in the ring were bad guys, stuff like that. To have an act like the Gangsters, down in that area, saying the things that they said, even at the suggestion of Jim Cornette or not, you had never seen anything like that done before. And they got a lot of hatred for it. A lot. Yeah, they ended up winning the Smoky Mountain Tag Team titles, but they got into memorable feuds with the Heavenly Bodies, the Rock and Roll Express, any other team or tandem you could think of, and even Jim Cornette himself. And this was enough to get the attention of Paul Heyman and ECW. And they jumped ship from Smoky Mountain to ECW, which caused a little bit of a legal issue because Jim Cornette, I guess, didn't see that coming. But it was in ECW where New Jack really solidified himself as a hardcore icon, as somebody that, even if you didn't watch ECW that much, when you heard the name, I should say, New Jack, when you heard it, associated with wrestling, you knew who they were talking about. And this is a guy that even after ECW folded, found work in NWA-TNA, he found work in XPW, he potentially almost found work in WWE. Yeah, potentially almost found work. Because according to some rumors, he was supposed to be the one that would be revealed as the assailant that stabbed John Cena in the chest in a nightclub the night after he lost the U.S. title to Carlito. So yeah, that almost happened. And this guy has been competing everywhere since then. Or since that time. Yeah, he's retired and everything, but he had been competing. And this guy has gone through a lot of crap. Legally, outside of the ring, whatever. He's done a lot. Mass transit, he's always going to be associated with. The Gypsy Joe thing, he's going to be associated with. And then this other thing with this other guy, where he went overstepped his boundaries. It's like, again, you can't talk about wrestling or hardcore wrestling in the 90s to early to mid 2000s without talking about New Jack or without his name coming up. I mean, when WWE did the first ECW One Night Stand, a lot of people in that audience, and I'm watching that right there, the one in the middle, the one that's the second DVD set up, I'm watching that. And even on that, I'm hearing people chanting for New Jack. Because they wanted New Jack. They wanted him, but he didn't show up. He was at Hardcore Homecoming. He was in the Forever Hardcore documentary, both that I have. But he wasn't on the One Night Stand, and people wanted him One Night Stand. He wasn't at the second One Night Stand, people wanted him there too. He showed up at Hardcore Justice, the first one, which was the last ECW reunion that they would do with Mustafa Ali, in a reunion of the gangsters basically fighting the Dudleys, or Team 3D. So yeah, he had a lot of memorable moments. And true, as time went on, he got older, he slowed down, he stepped out, he kind of hung up his boots, mostly for the time being. But this guy, I talked about how Nick Gage was a crazy mofo for what he's done and sometimes still does, in the ring. New Jack was the original crazy mofo when it came to modern day hardcore wrestling. The crazy one. I mean, here's the guy that basically wanted to get revenge on Vic Grimes for not going through a spot that they had discussed over and over at ECW Living Dangerously 2000. And because New Jack had to force his hand to fall off that scaffolding with them, or the scaffold with him, Vic Grimes fell on New Jack, caused him brain damage, blind in one eye, brain fluid coming out of the back of his head, injuring the guy, basically essentially ending his ECW career, or his run in ECW, for the time being. And then when these two crossed paths at XPW, I think, what was it, Baptized in Blood or something? I think that's what it was. I can't really think of it right now. But Baptized in Blood, I can't think of what it was. But they have a scaffold match. And what does New Jack do to get even? He has a freaking taser. And on top of the scaffold, New Jack tases Vic Grimes. Vic's telling him he can't feel his legs. And New Jack's like, you won't need them. Pew! Bombs away. Tosses Vic Grimes off the scaffold, intending to legitimately kill the guy. But all he ended up getting was a broken ankle. And he was this close to hitting the top ring post on the right, I think on the right-hand side of the ring. That's how scary and crazy of a mofo New Jack was. Yes, was he comedic? No doubt about it. He could have fun. When he was doing his hardcore attacks on people, he would have fun. Sometimes if he had a guitar, he would play it a little bit, and then he'd go El Kabong on somebody with it. This guy would use anything that wasn't nailed down as a weapon. He would use a PlayStation. Yeah, a legitimate PlayStation. He would use keyboards, computer monitors, back then the big rounded ones, the CRTs. Whatever wasn't nailed down he could get his hands on, he would use. I mean, one of the matches I remember him most for was in NWA-TNA Ultimate Sin. And what's he do? He tries to staple a dollar bill to Slash's head. And instead it backfires, and Slash turns it around on him and staples the dollar bill to his head. And then rips it out. And by the way, you know who Slash is? That's Wolfie D of PG-13. Yeah. A team that could get hardcore, but nobody thought Wolfie D could get that hardcore. But yeah, there was that match. He had the, Hard 10 tournament final with Sandman. This guy did so much crazy stuff. Even after he had his brains nearly splattered and all that at Living Dangerously 2000, what does he keep doing? He keeps doing freaking dives. Even in TNA, NWA-TNA, he was continuous doing freaking dives. Eyes on people. Even falling himself. Or being pushed down himself. I mean, this guy was a crazy mofo. He was a crazy mofo. And for his accolades, he got inducted into the ECW Hall Hardcore Hall of Fame, into the Hardcore Hall of Fame at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. This guy, although he never really had a run in WWE, but like I said, he was that close, is one of these guys that you're going to remember for the legacy, the controversies, and everything that he was part of and that he left behind. It's honestly, there's the old saying that there will never be another one of them. There's honest to God, there will never be another New Jack. There will never be another New Jack in this business. Never. So, Godspeed to New Jack. May you rest in peace now, in hardcore heaven, legitimately. And my condolences go out to your wife and your family. Take care, thank you, New Jack, for all the memories. You were one crazy mofo, and we'll never forget you for that. God bless. Again, prayers and condolences to your family, your wife, your family, and friends. But thank you for the memories, New Jack. You'll not be forgotten.